Age verification is taking over everything at the moment, and they're not even trying to hide it anymore. It's insane. I was trying to just play Minecraft, of all things, the other day. Minecraft with a couple of my friends, and as I loaded up the launcher to play the game, it asked me to verify my age with a passport, a selfie, my phone number, or there was a fourth one. I can't remember what the fourth one was. But instantly, I just kind of thought, why? And I believe it's something to do. I live in the UK. I believe it's something to do with the Online Safety Act that was introduced a couple months back. And I think we're now just starting to see like the raw effects of it. Because a couple of my American friends haven't had this pop up specifically for Minecraft, and I'm wondering whether it's just something that Ofcom, the managing body of the UK internet, I guess, has forced. The other thing I noticed it on the other day was I signed up for Claude, Claude AI, and it didn't even let me get past like the opening stages of setting up my account without providing my date of birth. Albeit Claude didn't ask me to verify my age, I still find it insane that it still asked me what my age was, because what really are they going to do with that information? I could have just put any old date of birth. And I remember like even the first time I ever had to like put my date of birth in on anything, this is quite funny, was on Club Penguin, which was like a web browser game. And this was when I must have been like 4 or 5. And I believe at the time, like it asked you to put your age in, but you had to be like over 18. And so I remember asking my dad, I was like, well, what do I put? Like, I can't play the game unless I put, if I put my actual date of birth in, then I'm not going to be able to play the game. And I was like 4 or 5 at the time. And he was like, oh, just put a random birth date in to get past it. And that's sort of been like the reoccurring theme over the last 15 years of my life, is there's literally nothing stopping you from just putting a random age in. But that's changing, and that's scary, and I think we should be scared about that, because the rate in which social media companies have harvested our data over the last however long, last few decades, is insane. And it's all happened behind a wall. We haven't seen it. We haven't seen the like physical effects of it. When you sign up for whatever, you press the little tick button to say, I agree to the terms and conditions, and a lot of the time you read through the terms and conditions. Not that I ever read through any of them, like you probably never read through any of them. There's a little bit somewhere in it that says you agree that we can sell your data to other companies and such. No one ever reads that, so no one ever knows that that's actually like a physical thing that can happen. And so this like harvesting of our data has occurred for so long behind our backs, and no one really talks about it at all. And the people who do talk about it are people like me in small little niche communities where like our voices just aren't really heard. And that is scary. That is absolutely terrifying. And they're so greedy that over these last few years they've massaged us and soothed us into a way of believing them, trusting these social media companies and just other like media outlets like Mojang, like Minecraft, that we're now we've just, as a society, for some reason, accepted that this is okay, that our data is not worth keeping private. And I think that's a problem. I think that's a massive, massive problem. Because these companies, once they have our data, the stuff that they can do with that information is far greater than I think people actually realize. And such a time's going to come where I think we're now seeing the effects of that data in large language models like ChatGPT, like Claude, like DeepSeek, or any other large language model. They're all being trained on this information that has been gathered over the last few decades. And I guess this is sort of a different conversation because this is more getting into the problems of AI and large language models. I think people are also starting to wake up and realize that large language models are sort of a problem. They're a cheap alternative to using our own brains, and that's really, really bad. The psychological impact of that, of us not using our brains to their full capacity, in that when you, even if it's something very simple, like you have a very simple question that you ask ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, you get a very quick response. And that's obviously simple, that's easy, that's efficient. But what that's doing is training our brains to always crave that quick and instantaneous response. And this also kind of links in a bit with why I think short form content and Reels and TikTok and stuff is terrible, because that's also just feeding into this spiral of fast-paced, short-term gratification that is just destroying our brains. It's going to destroy our brains. And I think we're so accepting of it in our lives now that it's so worrying. It's so worrying. And now, here's a funny story. I went traveling a couple years back, or about a year ago, and I was in, I believe it was Cambodia at the time. And nearly every single one of the tuk-tuk drivers, so the little taxi drivers, you sit in a carriage sort of thing on the back of a motorbike, they would literally be scrolling TikTok while driving us through these insanely busy streets. And so I think in my experience, a lot of that, I think the Western world isn't quite as bad as that side of the world. And that also just makes me even more nervous, because how bad can that situation get here? It's just a terrifying prospect. And I think it's just insane to me that people are so okay with sharing their data with these companies. I think it's insane. Let me know what you think. See you.